They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II. It's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution, they've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. This will be the only way to prove you have legal identity, and so if you don't participate in that system as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. By not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything.
Today we have Whitney Webb, who sounds the alarm on the birth of a new international monetary system with potentially disastrous consequences. Whitney reveals that this emerging financial order, set to replace the current Bretton Woods system, will be entirely built on blockchain technology. But there's a catch. The driving force behind this new system is a terrifying agenda of total surveillance and censorship, engineered to control every aspect of our lives. Whitney's insights are drawn from the plans of global elites, including French President Emmanuel Macron and World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab. Schwab has openly declared the need for a great reset of capitalism, insisting that every industry, from oil and gas to tech, must be transformed. In this shocking expose with Mark Goodwin, Whitney warns that governments worldwide are steering us towards this new world order, led by figures like BlackRock's Larry Fink, who seeks to tokenize every asset and commodity on the planet. From forests to rivers, mountains to lakes, everything will be commoditized and traded by the super rich, all with one sinister goal: complete control and domination. Whitney breaks down two critical components of this plan: the rise of digital IDs and the tokenization of the natural world. She warns that Schwab and his allies are on the brink of realizing their grand vision, potentially using a catastrophic event on the scale of World War II to usher in this new financial system. Drop your comments down below and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here.
With the new AI era, right, they can fuse all that data, analyze it, and depending on how they develop that AI algorithm, use it to control people really in unprecedented ways. In this context, I think the digital ID is a key enabler of the surveillance, knowing what everyone is doing at the transactional level and being able to tweak that micromanagement based on a person's activity, because the digital ID isn't just limited to the financial system, right? It's like your travel, your health history, your career history, your education credentials, your access to telecommunications, social media, the internet. I think the digital ID and the CBDC and its private sector equivalence project is something that we're always sort of intended to be the same system. So there's documents from the UN, from the BIS, and related groups that are sort of that have been working on this for years, that essentially frame one as essential to the other, using words about, this is inclusionary, the whole, marketing behind digital ID is that everyone needs legal ID because otherwise they're unable to access essential services, right? And so the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, which you brought up earlier. But inherently, these systems actually function in an exclusionary way, based on how they've been set up. They have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity, and so if you don't participate in that system as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. So you have to onboard to the surveillance state or be excluded from everything. So it's being marketed as inclusion, but it's really inherently exclusionary.
Totally. So how does this system get triggered? How do we move into the Mark Carney-ism?
Well, I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. So Bretton Woods was what came out of World War II essentially, and was the creation of a new financial governance system after World War II. And this is essentially an effort to create a new financial governance system that was announced well before any sort of crisis like that, but it's probably going to need a crisis of that level to be implemented and to convince people to onboard at scale. And if you subscribe to the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, which there is plenty of evidence to support that, I would say, that seems to suggest that perhaps, this is the it's going to be a problem reaction solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that's so interesting about this like debt bubble exploding is that when you know that the debt bubble is going to explode and you want to explode it into the new system, the way that you sort of trigger that into the system that you want to get the masses to go with you is you actually want to have the most debt obligations on the record, like on the board, so that when the system pops, they'll all pop. When the debt bubble pops, every debt bubble will pop. It will be everything all at once. It won't just be like, oh, Japan's fine, the US is like, it won't work like that. Everything will pop at once. So in this weird way, you actually want to create as much debt as possible right before the pin bursts the bubble. And then you can offer this, hey, we'll service your debt 1-to-1 if you come join this new universal tokenized ledger. Just sign up here, do a selfie of your face and give us your biometrics, and then here you are.
Well, it seems like in Larry Fink's case in particular, there's a goal, a big ambition there to develop new asset classes that can be used to basically fuel their existing business model and perpetuate it for millennia forward.
Whitney has been sounding the alarm on the next crisis, and now we're on the verge of a complete collapse. Billionaires and banking elites have been planning the multi-level catastrophe, and it's not just about surveillance, it's a reshaping of the world's monetary system. Likening it to World War II, this reset will be magnitudes bigger, and governments globally will feel the effects. Larry Fink has been vocal about the plan to transfer and tokenize all currency, another element of financial control. This will have disastrous consequences and is engineered to control all aspects of our lives. The inability to buy or sell with digital IDs is something unfathomable, but a direction world leaders are already implementing. The automation of food and commodities marks the end of our ability to control the very life we now live. And this is a glaring red flag for the days ahead, which Whitney and Mark say is our final warning.
Mm-hmm. So one of these that I've been writing about for a few years is the whole idea of natural assets, what they call nature's economy. And one of the groups that has been sort of propelling this forward, at least one of the earlier groups, the Intrinsic Exchange Group, which is a product of the Rockefeller Foundation and the multilateral development banking system, has a graphic on their website called The Opportunity, and they show there the existing amount of assets in the world economy, and then show what if we unlock natural assets, how nature's economy, it's like 6 times the amount of existing assets in the economy today. And so as an asset manager, BlackRock being able to unlock and take control of as many natural assets as possible that aren't currently part of the financial system is obviously a way for them to perpetuate what they do and deepen and expand their control over not just people in the existing financial system, but really over the natural world as well, and essentially turn everything alive into a tradable Wall Street financial product. And the goal, as Fink has stated, is to have all of this on a universal ledger, on blockchain presumably, and have it be trackable and surveillable, which is interesting if you look at it through the context of risk management, which is something that Larry Fink is very open as having been one of the guiding lights of his whole career. And so by having it all surveillable and automated in a sense, he's able to have his risk management AI thing, Aladdin, sort of exercise control over it in unprecedented ways, I think, for their benefit. And then, of course, a lot of what's happening now as we're moving into this new financial governance system is the push to change all of the infrastructure towards this, quote unquote, green a green model, I guess, or decarbonization, right? Which is, of course, interface with the global carbon market, but not necessarily so. Like, it doesn't have to be. But the push is obviously to create a bunch of new infrastructure all over the world, and BlackRock is positioning themselves to be one of the key players in that space. They acquired, I think they're called GIP, one of the biggest infrastructure, developers in the world. And I think one of their top guys at Davos just a few months ago was talking about how they're betting really big on infrastructure going forward, and it's going to be one of the biggest investment opportunities of the next several decades, actually. So I think they're quite ambitious, and if people aren't aware of this, I'm sure they'll get away with it, but we'll see. One of the things too about the natural asset thing, at least as far as the natural asset corporation model is concerned, is that you literally just go into a forest or you go to a river or lake and you identify the natural asset, and then at no cost to you, just after identifying it, you issue shares in the natural asset, a lake, a forest, whatever, and then you sell those shares to sovereign wealth funds, asset managers, whatever, and then you have an IPO and generate all this money. I mean, it's literally just pointing out something outside and being like, this is mine, I'm going to fractionalize it and sell it to people, and you're producing money in like, out of thin air, right, essentially. Yeah. And you're able to do that. I mean, the natural world is vast and huge, and they're doing this, they're financializing it all, as framing it as the only way to save the planet. Right. But really it's the only way for them to save their insane debt racket.
Right. Right. And it's funny too, because, I think there's a parallel here that you've talked a lot about, where it's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain playing with the blockchains and who's validating the blockchains. Yeah. Howie Lutnick of Cantor, specifically said, hey, if you want something seized, Tether's great, you just call Tether. Ethereum's great, you just call Joe Lubin. You call the guy behind the decentralized theater to blacklist the person or do whatever. Mm-hmm. Reminds me kind of a little bit of how the AI play is probably going to go, right? It's like, oh, it's AI that's in charge. It's AI that's in control of all these things, but really it's the keepers of the AI.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you have to pay attention to the people that are tweaking the AI, programming its objective functions that maintain it. They're able to manipulate it, and there is definitely a coordinated push to put AI in charge of as much of everything really as possible, and allows them to sort of follow what I call the Wizard of Oz model, be the man behind the curtain, but have AI be sort of this layer between you and the public that gives you sort of allows you to never be accountable for anything. You can just either blame everything on the AI, or say like AI is superior to human intelligence, and therefore, it's not our fault and we should trust what it says. Computer says yes, computer says no. And, I think it's very likely that AI, following that same model, is going to have a very big role in this coming, digital financial system. Yeah.
Larry Fink has been one of the main proponents of this new tokenized world, saying, imagine a world where every asset, every resource, and every commodity, whether it's the food you eat, the home you live in, or the very air you breathe, can be digitally represented and traded on a global scale. This is the power of tokenization. Tokenization is not just about creating a digital currency. It's about transforming the very foundation of our financial system. It's about ensuring transparency, security, and efficiency in the movement of value across borders with unprecedented speed and accuracy. But beyond the mechanics of finance, tokenization represents something much larger, a new era of economic opportunity. It will allow us to unlock the value of assets that have traditionally been illiquid, making them accessible to a broader range of investors. Whether it's a piece of art, a plot of land, or even the intellectual property behind an innovative idea, tokenization democratizes ownership. It brings markets closer to the people and creates a more inclusive financial ecosystem. He says the future we are building is one where the lines between the digital and physical worlds blur, where every transaction, every contract, and every agreement is secured on the blockchain, bringing with it a level of trust and accountability that our current systems simply can't match. This isn't just a technological shift, it's a paradigm shift, and those who embrace it will be the ones who lead us into the next chapter of global finance. What do you think about Whitney's prediction for the crisis we're now starting to see unfold? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.